Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to our discussion. As we always have these group coaching sessions every month, that's a special opportunity for me to interact with so many of you all at once. And this one was a unique opportunity that we have an expert in our midst when it comes to baby step four, and we're going to talk about that with investing. So we'll get to hear from Eric Statz here in a little bit. But just want to thank you all for making time out of your busy schedules, your evenings to be here with us together. This is where we get to interact with each other in this community, where we get to learn from each other and learn from experts. In this case, we get to have special guests. I want to look for opportunities throughout this new year. New part of the program is to bring in guests and hear from other speakers. You're probably tired of hearing from me, especially those that get to work with me more frequently than others. But I'm glad you're here and looking forward to our discussion this evening. The Just as a background and level set us, those that are new to this group or maybe are joining for the first time, just as an introduction for myself, my name is Brian Halverson. I've been in the financial industry for the last 2 decades. Now it's 23. I better update my slide. I love helping individuals and families and businesses to build financial peace and to start figuring out the path forward so that they can accomplish their dreams. I taught, if you're familiar with Dave Ramsey's program, FPU is Financial Peace University. Taught that 16 times over 8 years. Great introductory program to give students a great foundation of information. And then I became a coach to take it to the next level and help people with the deep dive one-on-one, slogging through the trenches with them. Now as a Ramsey preferred coach, and have a team now of nine. Also need to update that part of the slide. 9 additional coaches that work with me on my team to be able to help more and more families because there are so many people that need this help. And so it's a privilege to be able to help coach other coaches in my team so that we can all help more and more people. There's a lot of resources that we make available to you and to your friends and family and anybody who needs it. There's tracking sheets and guides on our website, dinwoodyconsulting.com. You can also access the YouTube channel, Dinwoody Consulting. There's a link to it in the chat. So if you go to the Zoom at the bottom of the Zoom, it might have popped up when I posted it. You can click on the chat. It'll open it up, and you can see some links there to my website, to the YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to that already, you can get shorts and the recordings for this and our previous group coaching sessions are all posted there on the YouTube channel. My intention with that is just to help give you some motivation, inspiration, and break out of your comfort zones and out of your ruts and accomplish something you've not been able to achieve previously. And so you can go from good to better to best and continue to progress. And so there's a lot of resources there. Link is in the chat. You can go ahead and subscribe to that and keep in touch with us through those resources. This is my group of coaches. I need to add another one to the slide, a new one that is just coming on board. Alexandra, we're excited to have her get started and helping clients as well. Some of those faces may look familiar as your own individual coach, or you may see them in our group sessions occasionally. So it's a privilege to work with each one of them. Let's talk about the baby steps as we get started, as we always do in this group coaching session, is just to level set us. We're all on a similar journey, but you might be at different stages of the journey. Some are farther along the road than others. Some are beginning, some are trying to get to the end, but we're all on this path. And the baby steps are the milestones and the guideposts along the path to help us to get there. So as always, I always like starting with this and level setting us all so that we all understand that have the same frame of reference as we are walking this journey. So what makes Dave Ramsey famous is those 7 baby steps. They're easy to digest. They may not be complicated. They can be hard to implement, but they're not complicated. But we start with very first step, baby step 1, get your $1,000 in a beginner starter emergency fund. It doesn't go very far. It never was meant to. It was just there to take the edge off of life. So when something happens and you experience an emergency, you reach for the savings account instead of reaching for the credit card. And so that's why we want to get that 1,000, just to give you some little bit of peace of mind, so that then you can crank down on baby step 2 of paying off your debt everything except the house, all your student loans. I've got clients with rental properties that is included in baby step two. It's not your primary residence. It's an investment. Eric's going to talk a little bit about that real estate, I think, in addition to his other topics to this evening. But we want to pay all of that debt off: student loans, credit cards, car loans, payday loans, anything, everything minus your own primary residence. Get that off of your back. It's slowing you down. And we're going to talk about that this evening. Baby step three, we go back to saving. We want to now build up our $1,000 fund to 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. So look at your expenses for the month. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're not finding the room in your budget to save, that's how much you need to save. Three times that, right? 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses for the larger emergencies once you're out of debt. I had a conversation with the client this morning talking about insurance and deductibles and how much insurance should I have on my home, right? A lot of things are happening across the country with disasters affecting people's homes, and making sure that you have adequate insurance on the home. And so he was talking about, do I need to increase the policy? What's that going to do to my premium? What's that going to do to my deductible? Well, this one has a higher deductible. Where's that money going to come from? Hey, it can come from my emergency fund, so I can be self-funded and protect, and I can afford. If I raise my premium, it lowers. Or sorry, if I raise my deductible, it lowers my premium. Where the heck am I going to come up with a higher premium for higher deductible? For him, it was $7,000. How about an emergency fund? That's what it was be there for. My medical deductible, my home deductible, my car deductible. I'm self-funded. I have my 3 to 6 months, or it's an income bridge between job number one to job number two. I have resources. I want 3 to 6 months. For some of you, it might be 20, 30, 50, $70,000 set aside for the heaven forbid events that we never want to talk about. But it's there, and that's why it's there. Then we get to baby step four. Is what we're going to talk about tonight, is investing 15% of your income into retirement. That day is coming. Every day we're getting a little closer. And ready or not, it's coming. So retirement is not an age, it's a number. And are we ready for it? And so it's about getting ready. And it starts as soon as possible. We can't make up the time. So we don't want to lose any time. So we got to make sure that we are getting to baby step four. For me, that's one of the urgencies, is get to baby step four as quickly as possible, because I need that time, the time value, money, and the compounding interest. Then we start working on baby step five. We save for kids' college, if that's applicable. We pay off the house in baby step six. And then baby step seven is to build wealth and give. So that's the ultimate goal. Is baby step seven is, and I have a few clients that are in that or very close there too. And it's such an amazing experience to live and give like nobody else. So how do I get to the point of living and giving like nobody else? Is living now like nobody else. And I need to ignore the common sense of the world that doesn't make much sense, and live these principles and get out of debt, and don't care about what's going on in the Joneses and the new cars and all these things. There's so much that is built to separate us from our money. So we got to swim upstream from the common thought, and live these guideposts and these markers so that we can make progress and move forward. It's not a game, and we want to maximize our progress. So let me pause for a second. Any questions, comments, thoughts, rebuttals? Disagree with me? Let's make this a good, healthy conversation. You can come off of mute, and welcome to turn your camera on or leave it off, whatever you prefer. You can also post any questions or comments in the chat. I'll watch both the live questions as well as the chats to make sure that we are catching people's comments, and I want this to be interactive. This is You're investing in yourself in this evening and this time that you're spending here with us. I want it to provide value. And so let's make sure you're getting out of it what you need and what you want. So any questions, thoughts, comments on baby steps? Pretty easy, right? It's just straightforward. So let's just do it. Like I say, it's not hard, sorry, it's not complicated, but it can be hard. Because there's a lot of human nature and a lot of behavior in there. It's the information is easy. I can read the slide and tell you the steps in a minute or two. Living it, that definitely is a challenge, right? It's the behavior, and I'm stressed. It's been a long day. I want to eat out. I didn't meal prep. What should I do? where's that credit card? I promise I'll pay it off later. And often it just snowballs and people rack up the debt, meaning hoping to pay it off, but sometimes life gets in the way. So it's just a good refresher to recalibrate us. If you're getting distracted by other things, this beginning is meant to pull you back in and make sure we're moving in the right direction. All right, if there's no comments or questions about it, let's move on to reviewing last month's topic to see what did you do differently from your experience coming from to the group session last month. We talked about routines, those being your secret ingredient of the New Year's resolution. No, it's New Year's routines. And the more we can implement the healthy routines, that's what creates wealth is your routines. It's not about more information, it's about application and making sure you are actually living the routine. So if you were here in our last group session, I want to hear what did you try out and what did you apply or how did you apply what you learned in the session, and what did you do as a result of attending it? Now, if you were not in the group session last month, then I would love to hear what your successes or wins have been over this past month. It could be financial. I paid off a credit card. It might be personal. I've had people share like, "Hey, I lost 10 pounds." It's all of us are working towards goals. Financial is only one aspect of our life and a healthy, well-lived life. And so it could be a win about anything. So the more you celebrate, the more it will be reinforced. And so celebration is a key component of you winning. It's part of the psychology of success. So feel free to put it in the chat or come off of mute. What did you learn? What did you apply? Or what's a win that you've experienced over this past month?
I think some of my most recent successes is the permitting is done on my land. My home's being built now and everything's a go. And I'm looking forward to this year.
It's been a long road coming for you, Corinne. Thank you for
Oh,
sharing that.
very long.
Yeah. And money is not the center of our life, but everything affects our money, right? Money affects everything in our life. Yeah, and building a house, yeah, getting all the permitting and all the ground staking and all that stuff you've had to do. That's been a long road with an exciting end. Now, hopefully, it's a little bit closer to you. So that's awesome. We're happy for you. Congratulations. In the chat, Maria says, "I paid off some debt and continue to make slow progress." That's awesome, Maria. That is excellent. Progress, right? Don't judge it on the pace. Right? You can't control the pace. Some people are climbing Mount Everest when it comes to debt. I have some clients that have $3,000 worth of debt, and I have others that have $600,000 of non-mortgage debt. So I don't know if that makes you feel any better. There's always somebody worse, right? And we're all walking our own journey. So that's awesome that you're making progress and paying off some debt. Excellent job, Christine or Maria. Other successes and wins or applications, what'd you learn from last year or last month? Any new routines that you've implemented?
And if we're talking about routines, I didn't attend last month.
Mhm.
Um, I had read, I've read most of the book now, Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
And so at the new year, I started the routine in January of making sure I make my bed every month, every day when I get out of bed, and doing my dishes every night so nothing's in the sink at night. And so now
Awesome.
I'm to the point where I'm going to add a number three habit.
Awesome. So what is that? How has that impacted your life? Making your bed, doing your dishes, how has that benefited your life?
My mental health is better. I always love getting into a made bed. So that has helped immensely. And waking up to have a sink full of dishes, it just started my day off wrong. And so my days seem to go better. I seem to be happier and less stressed or anxiety ridden.
It's awesome. Yeah. Small, small things, right? Small and simple things can bring some amazing things about. And making your bed, right? There's a lot of messages out in the world that talk about that. If you want to change the world, start by making your bed. And if nothing else goes well in the day, at least you come home to a made bed. You have some level of organization and order in your life. A clean sink and a made bed. Life will be okay. It's awesome. Any other healthy routines? Any successful routines that anybody wants to share as a best practice and share with the community here of other things that have made a huge difference for you? Could be financial or otherwise. Feel free to put it in the chat or come off of mute. Okay, Maria says again, routine of using the budget app. Good, excellent. And it can be any one of them. There's a lot of them out there, right? Some people love the Every Dollar. That's the Dave Ramsey app. Some people use other ones. Some people use Excel. I have clients that use it on a piece of paper and a calendar. Not the app, it's the application. That's what makes the difference. Yeah, budgeting is not complicated, but often we want to avoid it because it's work and it's uncomfortable and it's the realization of, ugh, I don't even want to look at that stuff. So using the budgeting app, Maria, excellent job. Thank you for sharing that. Hopefully you are celebrating those yourself. If you're not capturing those successes, you're missing the opportunity to reinforce it to your subconscious, that to reinforce it, to continue it. So you got to celebrate it. Stop and smell the roses, even if it's to yourself, right? Pat yourself on the back. Who else is going to do it? So if nobody's patting you on the back, do it yourself. You use the budgeting app. You showed up today. You're here. You're trying. You're making progress. Don't slow or otherwise, right? Christina, you have a big calendar. Try to plan my days ahead of time. There it is, right? Proactivity, looking ahead and saying, I'm going to plan this day instead of wondering where it went. And I saw a clip from an episode from Dave Ramsey, and he said, "What? Like, pick a word, the most impactful word," and he chose proactivity. You want to change your life, you got to be proactive. Right? Nothing good happens by accident. Right? Nature doesn't go uphill; nature goes downhill. Right? Chaos theory, however you want us to talk about it. Right? The world tends to chaos. So you want to make your bed? That's a swimming upstream. Right? Get planning your days, being proactive. Yes, we've been reactive for way too long. Yeah, welcome to the club. Most people are. And then they wonder what's wrong with my finances. So, all right. Like stop sharing one screen too soon. Let me want to move forward and give Eric enough time. So, I want to introduce Eric. That's is the special guest of the evening. Thank you all for being here, and special thanks to Eric for being here and sharing his expertise and his perspective. I love talking with Eric, and I always learn whenever he gets to join our meetings. So he is a SmartVestor Pro in the Ramsey organization. He's the president of Brighton Wealth Management. There's the website, brightonwealth.com. Check that out. Go see the background. His amazing teams. 25 years of experience in entrepreneurialism and investment management, with a long list of experience in his past, in his career. And so I want to give him as much time as possible and look forward to our discussion. I'm going to stop sharing, and then he can share. So we'll turn the time over to him, and then we'll come back at the end and answer questions. I'll watch the chats. So if you have chats with any questions or anything, put it in the chat or come off of mute and make sure this is a very interactive. I want you all to get your questions answered. So take it away, Eric.
All right. Well, great. Well, it's great to be here and talking about a subject that I love. Just talking about exploring with people. We live in the most abundant part of the, well, I could say part of the world, but the most abundant time in the history of the world today, and the facts support it. So I have hundreds of slides. We're not going to share all those slides today, but I do have some slides that I hopefully will be helpful for you. I will ask if you would like to take yourself off mute right now. You can always interrupt me. Okay, so sometimes when I get going, people want to ask a question and they can't find the mute button fast enough. So if you don't have any background noise that will disrupt everyone else, feel free to take your microphone off mute, and you can ask me questions. So As Brian mentioned, it's baby step four. So baby step four and baby step seven, both dealing with investments, building wealth, and how you do that. Okay, so baby step forward, investing 15%, and the last word being in retirement, saving for that retirement a day. Now, I'm asked all the time, when should I retire? And it's more of a philosophical question, quite frankly, than a financial question, because when you retire, what are you going to do? So that's more philosophical, and we can talk about that at some point. So now the first slide I want to show is why 15% right now, and regardless of what your age is, time is the heals all wounds. So the more time we have, the more opportunities we have for retirement. I'm going to show you that in several slides. But even if one is older, it's still a great time to get invested. The faster we can do that, because we have probably all heard this phrase out there: compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Now, but maybe I can't really see anyone, so I'm not sure if anyone pipes up, but I'm always curious if anyone knows who said that. And you know what? I'm going to answer the question because I know everyone's on mute here.
Dave
Uh,
Ramsey.
yeah, well, Dave Ramsey may have said that as well. Quite frankly, we don't know who actually said it originally. A lot of people say Albert Einstein, and so we don't know who actually did. A lot of times it is attributed to Albert Einstein, but nevertheless, that compounding of interest over time. If you see this little graphic here, if I have to blow things up so you can read it, but if you for $1,000 in today, in 20 years from now, it'll be $1,000. Now, it's not going to have the same purchasing power. So the $1,000 today is not going to purchase the same stuff at 20 years from now. Okay, so let's forget about inflation though. So $1,000. Now this let's say this $1,000 earns 10% a year. So without compounding, it goes to $3,000 in 20 years. So that's better than having just 1,000. But with that compounding interest represented by the green, we know it gets a lot bigger. So we all know this, okay? And that's a problem with debt, is because it becomes bigger. But that's the beauty of investing, particularly for retirement and other financial goals, is to get that compounding interest started, whether you're in real estate or stocks or other investments. Get it started so we get to that $7,000 in this example versus otherwise. Because as we see, I've studied the stock market for well, I've been in the business for 30 years. I've got to update my slides, said 25 years, but over 30 years. But I've done a passionate study about for the last 500 years, as far as all the different historical points over the last 500 years, and then particularly the last 100 years. And if this chart goes, this goes back to 1978, and it shows some growth. And I know these numbers are small here, so I'm going to blow it up and I'll call out the numbers. But since 1950, the S&P 500 has returned about 11.5% per year. Uh, it doesn't always do that. Now, real estate is generally about 3.5 to 4% per year. But where you get the value with real estate is when a lot of investment funds use leverage for it. But let me show you that in 1978, $100,000 at that time would be equal in 2021. Realize that this is 4 years old, but inflation would have been that same $100,000 back in 1978 would be worth $449,000 in 2021. Residential real estate would be just higher than that, 721,000. Gold, 827,000. short-term government notes or bonds, 1.1 million. Government bonds, longer-term government bonds, 1.8 million. Large cap stocks, that would be like Microsoft, Walmart, IBM, 15.1 million, and small cap stocks, meaning just smaller companies, but they're publicly traded, would be $15.3 million. So over that time period, it can be huge for your retirement. And so, and as we see, blow this back out, as we see the entire retirement equation, there are some things in your control and some things out of your control. Now, you have control in your saving and spending. That's why the first few baby steps talk about having that $1,000, and saving and control and having a budget, controlling that spending. You also can control asset allocation, meaning what you invest in. So that 15%, what you invest in, whether it be stocks or real estate or gold coins or whatever the case is. What's out of your control is this market, the stock market. No one. I've been in the business for a long time. No one on this planet can time the market successfully long term. They might get lucky once or twice, but they cannot control the stock market. Of course, we have policy regarding taxation, savings, and benefits. That's always going to be going up and down, and whatever Congress is doing. And know that we have some control as far as our voting, but this fairly limited as far as an individual on a day-to-day basis. And then employment, earnings, and longevity. Of course, we have some control keeping ourselves healthy and how long we have to live. So that all this has to do with retirement. But the biggest item is time. Time heals all wounds. And later on, I'll share with you one of the uh, uh, most interesting economic item that references a time, and I'll be probably at the end of my presentation. So on this, on the next three charts, I will show the same information, but only changing the age or the amount of time that one has until retirement. So this is just simply this age of someone, a 20-year-old. All right, they plan on retiring at what they're call full retirement age or 67, and they put $500 a month into an investment, and they earn 8% a year. Now I realize that some people will say, well, shouldn't it be 10%, 11%, 12%? Let's be conservative. Let's do 8%. I am here to tell you that the market goes in cycles. From 1999 to 2019, the stock market or the S&P 500. A lot of times I use that interchangeably. They're not exactly the same, but let's just for our purposes today, let's say that they are the same. So the stock market from that for that 20-year time period, again, 1999 to 2019, only went up 6.1% per year. Okay, and that's a long time period. So going back to 1950, it's gone up about 11.5% per year. So it depends. And so we're going to be using an 8% return here. So at age 67, you'll see over here on the far right-hand side, if you're following my cursor, is $3.1 million at that point. We're going to show you at the end here how everyone can be a millionaire. Of course, we have that show, 10 years ago about who wants to be a millionaire. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So this person hypothetically will be a millionaire, $3.1 million. Now let's change the age to age 30 and see what happens. Same scenario, except it's just changing the age. And now that $3 million goes down to $1.3 million. And then let's change the age once again, to age 40. That's doing the same thing, but at age 67, they will have 570,000. So it's gone from $3 million to $570,000. Just with that change in time, and of course over time they're investing if they have a longer time period that $500 a month. So Now, there's some charts, and we can send these charts out to you. How much should I have today? And so the way to read this table, I'm going to explain it here. I know these numbers are small, so that's why we can send it out. But over on the left-hand side, you have the age, and then you have your household income over horizontal or across here. Now, let's say someone is making $50,000 of household income and they are age 40. The way to read this, based on just some statistics, and a lot of times my last name is Stat, so that's not made up. That's actually a real name, but I do love statistics. So this statistic is it says 1.4. So take $50,000 times 1.4. You should have, based on this analysis, $70,000 saved up for retirement. If you want to retire at age 65 with the same standards of living, assuming that you are still saving 5% of you have a gross savings rate of 5%, and you are investing in what's called a 60-40 mix. And if you're not familiar with that, it's just between stocks and bonds. Real estate is also in the equation here. We can talk about that. But let me just actually stop right there. Does anyone have questions on how I'm reading this table? Okay. All right. Definitely, if we need to go back, we can. Now, so $30,000 to $90,000, and we have the same information here: $100,000 to $300,000 household income. Now let's go to the next set of slides. This looks similar, but it's slightly different. This is saying how much do I need to set aside? Now, the baby step 4 is 15% for retirement. And so, and there's a reason for that, is because analysis has gone into it to understand what amount do I need to set aside for the future. But it also depends on how much you would like to spend in the future, and also how much time. Remember, time keeps on coming up. We all have 24 hours a day. We all have, and hopefully we all have 7 days a week, and 4 weeks in a month, and 12 months in a year. So it's all comes back to time. So in this case, we will go to $50,000, and again, age 40, and it's estimated that we should save at this point 13% of our money until retirement at age 65. So that's a very close to 15%, depending on your age there. So age 45, 18%, age 50, 25% to have that same amount in the future. Now, a household that is earning 90,000, you can see these numbers being different. And so 15% is a good rule of thumb, but you can dial it down even further as you look at your age. And again, the same information for $100,000 to $300,000 in income. Now, the next few slides, I call these "Who Wants to Be a Millionaire" type slide. So this is a slide from J.P. Morgan. They do great research, great investment group. But I tell everyone that you have to have a pecking order, just similar to that. The Dave Ramsey. We don't start out at baby step 7. We start at baby step 1. We have to go in order. Well, the same way with investing. And now down here we start at this 1 and move up 1, 2, 3, and go up to 9. I do change this, and we have to customize things. So it's not every time we go through this, but these are the general rules to be able to have that structure. I love what was said earlier about Atomic Habits. One of my favorite books out there. We have to have that habit, that routine, that structure to know how we do things. And so this is in a similar way. We have to have that structure. So we start off with an emergency reserve. Now, this is a little bit different than what you may have seen out there. But then we second thing, HSA. If you are eligible for a health savings account, put in your for your HSA, and it's for a couple. I think it's $8,550 a year right now, and for a single person, $4,300. Third, go up to the match for your 401k uh, or which a 403b or whatever type of employment plan you may have. Go up to the match. Number four, pay down higher interest loans. Actually, we put that in the Ramsey system earlier. Okay, but still, you can see that Ramsey is right along with everyone else. Let's pay down those interest like loans. And then we have further areas, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. And so this is who wants to be a millionaire. Now, this is hypothetical. This is not maybe doable, but what I'm going to talk about is the ideal, and then let's do the practical. So the ideal. Let me starting off with the top one first, the HSA, Health Savings Account. As I mentioned, 8550 per year for a couple. Now, this illustration is for someone who is 30 years old. They have an annual income of $100,000. It could be husband and wife, or just a husband or just a wife, whichever, but combined $100,000. They're married. Okay, and the HSA, they use 50% of their HSA. Why do I start off with the HSA? You may already know HSA is one of the it is one of or the best vehicle to help with spending with your for your medical needs and for retirement. A lot of people don't realize that you can use this for retirement in the future after 59 and a half. It's similar to an IRA from that standpoint. But actually, it's much better because you can use it. You're always going to have medical expenses into retirement. So this money, hypothetically, will never get taxed. So HSA. So if they spend 50%, so they have $4,275 going into saving for that retirement every year. Employer plan. Let's say they have a 3% match, so they're putting in $3,000. The company puts in $3,000, so the $6,000 goes in every year. Then their Roth IRA. They're both younger than age 50, so they can put in $7,000 a year each. So that's $14,000 a year. The employer plan, $21,000, $21,363 additional money that they can put in. There are limits that changes all the time. Don't worry about that actual number, but just Google the actual limit of what you can put in. And then let's say hypothetically they have more money, and so they put in $5,000 a year into an investment account and $5,000 into an insurance, term insurance or something, just to make sure that you have that. But in this case, this is looking at other types of insurance. And I realized that Dave Ramsey, we're not in a complete belief of as far as having permanent life insurance, but let's not let that derail us here. But I'm trying to illustrate what can happen over a 30-year time period or a 35-year time period. So out of the pocket, remember the employer does $3,000 of this. So out of pocket, that's $52,638 a year. That's a lot of money. And so, but over a 35-year time period, that grows into $13 million by having that. Now, let's say that let's change this up and let's have this be what I'm going to call a phased in plan. So a phase in plan over years. So so using the same 30-year-old, so for 5 years from age 30 to age 35, they do just the HSA and the employer plan. Okay, so remember those first two things. And then from age 36 to 40, they start getting some raises, they start doing some things. Then they do the Roth IRA, have enough money for the Roth IRA. So the first 5 years is $7,725 is their out of pocket. The next 5 years is $21,275, and then it grows from there. So but it's the first three things. I always hit on these first three things: HSA, employer plan, and Roth IRA. If that makes your 15% or whatever the case is, but those are so important to do those three in that order if you are eligible for HSA and employer plan. Everyone is eligible for a Roth IRA. Elon Musk is eligible for a backdoor Roth IRA. But the first two you have to be eligible for just having an employer that has a plan and also being in a high deductible health plan. Age 41 to 45, you max out the employer plan, and 45 to 65, you put in those other amounts of $5,000 each. So coming up with this structure at age 65, you're the balance, making some assumptions, and this assumptions that we are doing this for 10% a year, you get to $6.8 million. Okay, so and so how do you become a millionaire? Whether one is 20 or 60 or 65 or 70, you start making that plan. Any comments so far before I move on? Because the next part of what I'd like to talk about is how important it is to get invested, and how important it is today. Any comments? Okay. All right. So, and let me just, Brian, I saw that my internet was unstable. Can you still hear me? Can you just chime in?
Yep.
Let me know.
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. So I'm hopeful that this is helpful. I said at the beginning that this is the most incredible time in the history of the world as we know it to live. Why is that? Because we have more abundance than at any time. And by you investing in the stock market, you're investing in entrepreneurs, and you might be an entrepreneur yourself. But I love going around the world. I've given this presentation in Europe and Middle East, and of course around the world, around the U.S. Entrepreneurialism is the greatest non-religious miracle this world has ever seen, and the facts support it. Here's one chart. This agrarian society picture represents living in poverty. Poverty. This is a World Bank picture. I've used this for over 10 years now. I update it. I need to update it again, but the World Bank provides these numbers, and they identify severe poverty as living on less than $1.90 per day. Back in 1820, 92% of the world lived in severe poverty. So only 8% were outside of severe poverty. This urban looking setting or city looking setting represents living outside of poverty. And I know a lot of people would rather live over here than over here, but let's go with me on this. So today, and it's even better today than what is represented in this 2019 picture, is that 8% of the world lives in severe poverty. Now that's still a lot of people, and we have a lot of homeless. We have a lot of struggles here in the U.S. and worldwide. 660 million people live in severe poverty, but as a percentage of the world, we've never had it better. I challenge people all the time: do you live better today than your grandparents or your grandparents? And to my knowledge, I haven't had anyone come up to me and say no, they do not. And I was doing this in Ukraine when well, just outside of Ukraine a couple 2 years ago, and the Ukrainian students all came up to me and said that we don't agree with you. We started talking about it, and they pulled out their smartphone and realized that they have a smartphone. They realized that they have even with the war, they have plumbing, they have electricity, and their great grandparents didn't have that. Now, of course, they were in communist rule back when communism ruled Ukraine, but things around the world have improved dramatically. And by you investing, you're investing in companies that have improved at least our lifestyle. I'm not going to say there's definitely mental challenges and with definitely several of these devices. But let's talk about some of those devices right quickly. You have this by you investing in companies and getting your money saving for retirement. You're investing in companies possibly like whether it be Apple or Samsung, but a smartphone that replaced all these gadgets. The innovation is tremendous today, and it's never been more tremendous than what we have today. And so I don't want to hijack this presentation talking about innovation, but I can go on for quite some time. I have hundreds of slides talking about the innovation that is out there.
But
A
there's
few
a,
other,
or sorry to
go
interrupt.
ahead.
There were some
Go
questions
ahead.
in the chat that I wanted to bring up back on. I think it was on those slides based on the age and when people can start investing. Some of the questions were, what does that look like if you start late, like at 50? So if I'm someone starting to invest and I'm 50, I'd love this slide if I was 30, but
Yeah,
what do I do if I'm 50 or I'm starting late in life?
that's a great question. So let's go back up to here, and that's why we'll send out these. Okay, so at 50, we you would have to take your household income, and if you want to can maintain your lifestyle, okay, at your household income, what percent you need to start saving, and how much should you have put aside for retirement? And so the question really needs to be answered by referring to these tables. And for that person that asked the question, let's get these tables to you, and you can start looking at where you need to be and how to get there.
So
Okay,
if
I
I was
hope you answered that.
Yeah, so if I'm following along, if I'm 50 and I make $60,000, I'm right in the middle there, 60,000 along the top, 50 along the bottom. So I need to be saving 28% of my income, 28% of my 60,000 is where I would need to be. That would be my savings rate. I need to be saving 28% of my money, right?
That's correct. Yes, and
And then
that's
we
a
go
lot.
back to
That's
your list. Go ahead.
large amount. Yeah, keep going.
But then it's like, well, where do I put it? And that goes back to your asset allocation. Those are the things that you can control of where do I put it? I'm going to put some in my HSA, some in my employer plan, some in my 401k, my IRAs and so forth. So depending on that, you have different choices of where to park that money.
That's right. So let's. Sometimes people get confused on when I say HSA or Roth IRA. That's not. That's the vehicle that you are investing into, but that's not the actual investment. Okay. So you might go into a Roth IRA and open up a Charles Schwab or Robinhood or whoever a type of an account, but then you need to know what to invest in. And that's where we get into more of the types of products. So if there are questions about that, you can get into. I I know that Dave Ramsey talks about a lot about exchange traded funds, how what's called low expenses, and you get diversified. You get diversified into all these other kind of companies that are invested in technology and healthcare and food products. and a lot of different things. Going back to this chart here, you have these large cap stocks generally, and to be able to invest in those with an exchange traded fund. I know that they're I so that's where we probably should have a tutorial on what those options are: exchange traded fund, a mutual fund for stocks, and also bonds. I know that there's been comments about real estate and where real estate fits in. Real estate, you can invest in a what's called a pooled product, and there's a lot of different types of pooled products where you can be diversified into real estate throughout the country, or you can do your own rental. There is a more upkeep with that. You can hire a property manager to do that to help you with the management of it. But definitely, real estate is can be a big part of it. In fact, people will often ask me, how do you build wealth? And I assume that that'd be a question here. And I always things for me always come in threes. And so, in this order, I tell them to build wealth, you either become first, you become an entrepreneur. If that's not the way you would like to go, then you invest in real estate. And if that's not the way you'd like to go, then you invest in stocks. So, in that order, that's what I've seen for 30 years. I've worked in New York City on Wall Street with Goldman Sachs. I've worked with billionaires, and I've seen, but they didn't start off that way. But I've seen it that those are the three areas that people have made their wealth. And and I've worked with the whole gamut of financial wealth. Wealth is not just finances, but that's more philosophical. But people get more wealthy financially by those principally those three things. And today we're talking more about the third one, being invest in stocks. Brian, any other questions on that?
One talked about are there not caps on what you can put in the Roth I or IRA? So you just talking about the limits. Do you want to review that?
Yeah, yeah. So the limit is, and it changes every year, or nearly every year. But for under and there's what's called a catch-up phase at age 50. So under age 50 is 7,000. For over age 50, it's 8,000 for the Roth IRA, if that's what you're referring to. If you're talking about income limits, those also change every year. So IRA, everyone can contribute to that. Elon Musk can contribute to it. But a Roth IRA does, it depends on whether you're single or married. It does limit you from that. But in reality, everyone can do a Roth IRA and what's called a backdoor Roth IRA. That gets a little bit more into the weeds. Brian will probably come up. We'll probably talk about that at some point. Brian, is that what the question was?
Hmm. Yeah, because they like back to that chart. I'm 50. I need to save. If I'm making 60,000, I need to save 28%. So on my numbers, that means I need to be saving 16,800. That's 28% of my 60,000. So I need to save this year 16,800. And where can I put it? I cannot put it all in a Roth IRA. Roth IRA. I'm going to hit the limit. That's 7,000. Okay, and then what? All right, that's where it flows over. You fill this bucket and then it overflows, and I need to fill this bucket and then I need to fill this bucket. And there's different places for you to put that 16,800. You could not put it all in one Roth IRA. You could in
Yeah,
your
exactly.
401k. The 401k has a $23,000 limit. So you could put it all there, and maybe maybe you have a higher income, right? 90,000, there was a higher percentage. And so in
Mhm.
some of those numbers, depending on your age and depending on your income, you might max out that savings vehicle before you're going to have to stop contributing, but you still need to keep saving. So what do I do, right? I've maxed out for me to catch up at my age, I've got to put in $30,000. Well, you can't put it in a 401k. It's too much. But you can fill up the 401k and then I still need to save some. Where does it go? Roth IRA. Okay, then what? HSA. Now what? Okay, and you have all of these different buckets that I can fill up in order to max out my retirement savings. If I need to hit that savings rate of 28, 38, whatever that number was, the whole point of that, if I understand that, is I'm trying to make up for lost time. So
Mhm.
15% is the baby step four, but for me to hit my savings goals, I might need to do more. I need my
Yeah.
15% might not be enough because I might get to 65 and I'm only got $500,000 or whatever that number, $70,000, $700,000. That might not be enough to live on. So
Yep.
it's a good deep conversation that we need to have to find out what about me? What's my situation? So how does
Yep.
someone connect with you, Eric, to have a deeper dive connection conversation and get their specific questions answered?
Well, I just have them I contact you, and then and if they're ready for that conversation, then you would pass them on to me, or you can go to my website, and I have and it's brightonwealth.com, and we have I have a Calendly scheduling link there that you can sign up, and we can go through that. And then I you always have to have a financial blueprint. So what I do is I do a financial blueprint or a financial plan to see where you are today and where we want to be in 10 or 20 or 30 years from now. So we put all those assets together. But before we get to that, we want to make sure that you have a budget and you're currently investing to get there. So that's why we start off these baby steps. But Brian, you're absolutely right. You come up with that percentage and then you fill these buckets, and that's what this is meant to do is fill this bucket first. Okay, one, two, three. It's always the first three buckets that are most important. This one, two, three. And a lot of times people never get to the fourth, fifth, and sixth bucket. But doing the one, two, three buckets here, yes, those are the most important. Realizing that there are those caps of how much you can put in, and you'll be able. If you're a self-employed person, those caps are very much different too. So, I mean, I've got a client that, yeah, he's self-employed. You can put in $160,000 he and his wife a year. So, called a solo 401k. So the caps are different. These are the general caps, though, for starting for retirement. Okay. I see
Any
that we're
questions?
yeah.
Yeah, just no, we're up on our time, and it's such an important topic. Any questions? I know some people that might have like some. What about me, or what? Any questions that you might have about your specific situation that we can open the mics and give you a chance to ask an expert. Well, there's some long answers to some of these questions. And I know that some of you that are here, I know I specifically said I come to this because I want you to talk to Eric and get some of your questions answered. And so please take him up on that offer. Reach out to me or visit his website and we can get you connected to just talk through your situation. That's your homework assignment every group coaching session we do. We assign homework because that's where you make the progress is in between the sessions is application, right? If we go and we listen to some great information and nothing changes, did we invest our time or did we waste our time? So we got to make sure that we are investing our time through application, and that's where transformation happens is actually doing what we're learning. So, what are some takeaways? What are some gold nuggets that you can apply from this session? I loved what Eric started with, is really identifying, well, what do I even want to do in retirement? Retirement's not sitting around not doing anything. It's what's your why? Identify your why. What do you want to be doing when it comes to retirement? I know in my own coaching sessions, people like have no idea. Like I have no idea. It's might as well be planning on what it's going to be like to live on Mars. I have no idea. What's retirement going to be like? I have no idea. Start thinking about it. Because if you can identify the things that you want to do, it might create some pull motivation. It might draw you forward. Like, man, I can't wait to go into retirement because this is what I'm going to do. And you get to design your life, your retirement life, and find out that why because it'll pull you forward to say, I got to get through the stinking baby steps 1, 2, and 3. I got to get out of debt. I want to get there as fast as stinking possible because I'm losing time. I like that graph when I'm 30, not when I'm 50. Well, maybe I don't have a choice. Right? I can't go back and do that one over again, but I can start now. A great phrase I've heard before is your savings rate is more important than your interest rate. As Eric showed in those circles, you can't control the interest rate, the rate of return from the stocks and the market and the investments. If 11%, I would love it. If it's 4%, I can't control that. What can I control? That 28% or whatever the 15%, whatever you're doing, and maximize your savings rate. That's you control. You can't control the interest rate. So push that. If you are, I know this is a mixed group, so some people are trying to get to baby step 4. Great. Get through baby steps 1 through 3 as fast as possible. Others of you already are in baby step 4. And so in those that if you're already there, review your, he talked about asset allocation, the fancy term to say, where the heck is my money sitting? Is it in bonds? Is it in stocks? Is it in mutual funds? Where is it? Do a healthy checkup once a year, right? We go to the dentist every 6 months. Why don't we check in on our investment portfolio regularly so we make sure that it is in a healthy state and you're going in the direction that you want. So get some help from an expert and get a second opinion. Talk to your service provider. Talk to Eric. Talk to people that say, okay, is this going to help me hit my goal? Yeah, I would hate to climb the ladder of life only to find out at the end of my life that it was leaning against the wrong wall. Like, oh man, I was invested in Enron, right? Right, that was my retirement plan, right? Wrong idea. Right? If you know the history of Enron, I studied that in my MBA program, right? Be careful who you bet on. Don't try to pick a winner. So get some help and find a guide that can help you through this decision and the calibration that you need to have every year to make sure that you're heading in the right direction. So again, it's one of my passions and I feel the urgency of this. So get to baby step 4 as fast as possible, get out of debt and build your savings and then maximize your investing depending on your age. Right? Some people say, oh, I don't need to be a millionaire. Oh, that's 13 million, 3 million, whatever the number. I don't need to be a millionaire. And my answer is you haven't done the math. Because if you do the math and you see like how much do I need to live on, you need $1 million. Then it's unfortunately an eye-opening experience often for clients to say, "Yikes, I'm not where I need to be." Okay, it's never too late, as Eric said. Right? You can start. I'm 60. You can start. Right? It's what are the alternatives? So begin. When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? Today. So take advantage of it. Thank you for being here. I could talk your ear off all night long. Thank you, Eric, for being here. Thank you for your expertise and sharing your passion for helping people, making people's lives better. Love our partnership. And if you have questions, you can funnel them through me, and I can get you to connected with Eric or check him out on his website. Thank you again for all being here. Connect with me make sure you sign up for the next month's group coaching session. You can use the same link as you did tonight to enroll in the next month. So look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a wonderful week, and thank you.